President Putin has exercised a great deal of patience. He's being very patient, waiting for this tide of change to sweep over Europe. It's coming. And President Trump's message to the Europeans is going to accelerate that process. The real question is how soon do Americans wake up and recognize that Washington has led them down a blind alley? And that's one of the reasons that I did write the article that I did today about this shift in global power and influence and wealth to the East. It's not because I'm celebrating the demise of the West in any way, shape, or form. And the West doesn't necessarily have to go down as a result of this. But what the West has to recognize is that there are multiple powers in the world today. There are other poles of influence and strength and power. Just because China or India or Iran or any number of other countries and Russia are now powerful actors on the world stage doesn't translate into danger for us. And that's been the problem now, I would say, certainly since 1991. People want to interpret in Washington, D.C., the emergence of other power centers as inevitably damaging to the United States. That's not true. War as a means of extending power, of imposing your will, is increasingly, I think, obsolete. It's something that doesn't make sense. And I don't see any evidence that the Chinese or the Russians or the Indians or the Japanese or any number of powers out there are turning to the use of military power to achieve their ends. In fact, I think they're all interested in avoiding it. We are the ones that seem to think that military power is a great tool of statecraft. It's not. You could talk to anybody like Ambassador Freeman, anyone who's been a professional diplomat over the last 30 or 40 years will all say the same thing. In statecraft, in international relations, the military instrument is the least attractive because it's the most difficult to control, and it's the last choice. And we've been using it and using it and using it. We look at the desert we've created as a result of the use of our military power, we declare victory, and we move on. And the people at home in the United States, they don't sense it because they don't feel the pain. Well, that's beginning to change for reasons of economics, because of the financial system and the dangerous and perilous position we're in. And we're not alone. The Europeans are in a very similar position to us economically and financially. So I think all of this is going to come to a halt. But like everything else, when you say that, you know this, Glenn, from your own experience, people say, well, when is this going to happen?